He laid down a challenge to Congress as the parents of a teenage victim of gun crime looked down from the gallery. President Obama urged politicians to back sweeping controls to America's gun laws in his State of the Union address. In the latest in our series on guns in America, we look at the president's challenge. He may have won the public argument, but can he win the law? Over now to our Washington correspondent, Matt Fry.
Well, John, indeed. Now, the kind of legislation the president wants, he's unlikely to get. Why? Because the majority of Republicans in the building behind me and quite a few Democrats are opposed to it. And yet last night he did have the primetime microphone of the State of the Union address. And although he spoke about a whole range of issues from the economy to the environment, the emotional apex of that speech was when he talked about gun control. And the rather poignant backdrop to the speech, well, that was provided by events on the other side of the country.
42-5 put out. We have the suspect holed up in a cabin.
In Washington, the president was getting ready to talk about guns. Here on the other side of the nation, the police were engaged in a full-scale battle. In Southern California, the manhunt for Christopher Dorner, the disgruntled cop-turned-cop killer, had led a small army of police officers to the mountain resort of Big Bear. Inside the burning cabin, Dorner and his weapons. Outside, 200 police officers and theirs. The toll here, 2 dead, including probably the shooter. And remember, all this started because one man was sacked. Guys down! With such real action drama unfolding live on TV, the cable networks had to tear themselves away to cover the other story of the night.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
The State of the Union address is one of those rituals of polite but fake pageantry when the president issues a laundry list of wishes, most of which remain unfulfilled. Gun control may be just that, but that didn't stop him from turning up the rhetorical heat.
Of course, what I've said tonight matters little if we don't come together to protect our most precious resource, our children. It has been 2 months since Newtown. I know this is not the first time this country has debated how to reduce gun violence, but this time is different.
As he built up the crescendo, he outlined specific measures, like universal background checks for gun buyers and a ban on assault weapons. He wasn't even demanding a majority, just a debate in Congress.
Each of these proposals deserves a vote in Congress.
No clapping from the stony-faced Speaker of the House on the right, who stayed glued to his seat like most of his fellow Republicans.
If you want to vote no, that's your choice. But these proposals deserve a vote. Because in the 2 months since Newtown, more than 1,000 birthdays, graduations, anniversaries have been stolen from our lives by a bullet from a gun.
In the audience, the guests here to make his point with their presence. Gabby Giffords, the congresswoman who's still recovering from her shooting. The parents of Hadia Pendleton, the 15-year-old Chicago schoolgirl who'd attended the president's inauguration and was then shot in the back a mile from his house in Chicago a week later.
They deserve a vote. Gabby Giffords deserves a vote. The families of Newtown deserve a vote. The families of Aurora deserve a vote. The families of Oak Creek and Tucson and Blacksburg and the countless other communities ripped open by gun violence, they deserve a simple vote.
The most powerful moment of the speech, an attempt to shame those in Congress who do not dare touch America's lax gun laws for fear of not being re-elected to this chamber. And that happens to be the majority.